Hello, Tomcat. I've taken it upon myself to make this tutorial video for you for the song you were interested in. As you already know, everything is a half step down, and then instead of dropping the low E, we're dropping the high E to a C sharp technically. It would normally be dropped A, but here is the first chord of the song. It's very similar to a minor chord. Like when you're doing a minor chord, you're doing this, right? You're gonna bar the whole thing and then do these two. But in this case, we're not gonna worry about the top string. And you're putting your pinky on the 10th fret, your ring finger on the 9th, and then barring the 7th fret, which actually makes it more of like a major chord actually. I usually, on the first round, I try not to hit the high string. Let me actually turn this amp on so you can hear what the fuck I'm doing. So that's the first little lick. Let me move this back so you can see the whole fretboard a little bit better. What you're gonna do after you hit that chord is move it down. So it's the same exact shape, except it's just down a little bit lower. So you're barring the 2nd fret, pinky's on the 5th and ring fingers on the 4th, and then you're gonna bring the pinky on like you're doing a B minor shape. And that 3rd chord is just open, hitting pretty much the high 3 strings, but even if you mess up and hit some of the lower ones, it's all in key. So the next little phase of this is a little bit trickier. So this is like a backwards D. So normally it would be the bottom of a minor chord like this, or major, I'm sorry. No, minor. God damn it. It would normally be the bottom of a minor, but because of the D being dropped, you have to take where you would normally put your index finger and move it up 2 frets. And you're going to slide up like that. This is like a D minor shape, except it's not, because fuck, I suck at this, man. You're going to do 6th fret with your middle finger on the G string. You're going to do 5th fret with your index on the B, and 7th fret. This is also the same as, okay, finally getting this right. This is the same as a major shape being at the bottom, like if you were doing ska, like you're only doing 3 strings. It's a major shape, except again, because it's dropped, you have to use this finger instead of this one. So the whole thing sounds like this. Now you are basically making a D7 and hammering on to the 3rd fret. So the whole thing put together is like this. And then you're going to go back here, but hit the high string this time. So what you're going to do, you're going to hit this weird, it's basically, I think it's like a G major. And then you can take your ring and pinky off, and you're going to kind of a hammer-on pull-off, but you're hitting with the pick. Now you're going to make that minor shape, that bottom minor shape. I fucked that up, hang on. So that last part, you're just doing kind of a power chord, starting on your D string. Just kind of sliding it up. And then pull this up and hit and bar that whole bottom 4 strings. Okay, so I'm going to play the sequence again. So I basically went part by part. I don't know if I did a very smooth job of it, but if you still have questions, just ask me specifically what you're confused about, and I will do my best to try to clarify that out for you. Going on to the verses, it's just starting on the same thing. The second chord is a D7, so you're also using the low A. Then back to this one. It's that same shape you're doing up here, just down. Then ending that on a B minor. I wanted these verses to be a lot more bass heavy. I wanted the guitar to be relatively sparse until later in the verse. Maybe like a second guitar comes in. So, moving along into the choruses, you're going to make a G major shape without the low string. And you're not going to play the high string, you're going to mute it with your index finger. That second chord, pretty easy. It's just the bottom, the bottom 2 notes of an A. So it's just an A without your index finger being down. And then you're going to just put that. A lot of times I mute the high E string again because it tends to be very drony. It tends to be a little overpowering over the melody you're trying to hear. Third chord is just a D major. Finally a normal ass chord. So that's just right after the D is an F sharp minor, and you can play the whole 6 strings on that. But the last note, when you switch to a B minor, I tend to mute the high E again because it just sounds kind of out of place. Even though the high E is a note that you're already playing, again, those high strings, because they're so high frequency, and it just seems a little unpleasant to hear. Second part. So this part reiterates on the second and fourth time through. So you're starting on an F sharp minor, sliding up to an A. Again, muting this. And ending on the B minor. So what that's going to sound like so far is like this. Third part is a little trickier. So this is a form of an A, I think. I don't even know what these chords are called, dude. You're going to bar your 12th fret, and then your ring finger is going to go on 14th fret of your G and 15th fret of your B. And you're going to do an F sharp minor 7th, and then you're going to oh my god, man. You're going to do an E to a B. You know, I'm still working out some of the kinks on that part. But it's just kind of a walk down. So, last but not least, that same thing that we did the second time. So here's the chorus in a nutshell. So you got to kind of get a feel for like which notes, which strings you might hit that might not necessarily work, as far as you can tell what the melody is supposed to be is very pronounced. But sometimes, most often, the high E string, there's like just something that doesn't quite work with it. So it's a lot of muting, and of course it's a lot of muting to begin with for that particular kind of rhythm. But you're familiar with it because you've done ska before. It's kind of very similar or identical. I am stumbling with this video, but if you think of something else that you want me to expand on, or something's not making sense, then just message me and I'll try to clarify it for you.